The Doorkeep fusion's done, there's a huge Titan event coming, and of course, we have the events for the Turtles coming. Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and thank you for Plarium for sponsoring this video. Raid Shadow Legends is a fun game. You can play it using the link down below, get yourself a couple of free champions out of it, and have some fun. You can also get UDK. I believe that code should be good as long as you use it within the first 48 hours of creating your account. UD King, you can get yourself Ultimate Death Knight, who is an absolutely amazing champion. You know, get started today, get yourself a UDK, and, enjoy Raid just like I am. So we are here on the Free to Pause account because I want to update you a little bit on it because I have completed the Granite Fusion. It's actually Saturday night as of filming this video, but there's also a bunch of new and interesting events coming up. There has been an announcement for the April Titan event, and there has been some interesting ideas about what may be happening for the other Turtle events as well. I have to give credit to Boozer, who has done a great job. I will link to his channel and to the video where I took some of this information from down below, so you can see where I am getting the information that I am getting, and then I will extrapolate further some of the things that I think are going to happen as far as the Leonardo path is concerned, assuming it's a Leonardo path, assuming the Deck of Fate for Raphael is concerned, and what I think is going to happen with this April chase. Now, if you are interested in April O'Neil, I did a video. I will link to that up above as well, so you can check out that video. I did a guide and a showcase on her. April is interesting. I liked her. I think she was a good champion, but she was not a great champion, and she just kind of lacks the spark to make her absolutely amazing. That said, I ended up actually using her almost exclusively for 2 or 3 days in Classic Arena and did not lose a single fight, and she was oftentimes the reason I was winning. So it's kind of hard to describe exactly what she's doing, but she is doing some other interesting things, and it's kind of good, so that's good. Also, of note, the Nullify debuff that she has, which I'll get into a little bit earlier, has some interesting effects as well. So let's start talking. So the Nullify debuff basically prevents people from doing an awful lot of things. They can't participate in ally attacks, counter attacks, take extra turns, have an instant turn, have their skills cool down or decreased, not increased. That wouldn't be a good debuff if you couldn't increase their skills. Can't have their shield value increase, can't restore destroyed max HP, can't swap HP, can't have it equalized. Basically, there's a lot of things you can't do for them. You can boost their turn meter, you can still heal them, you can obviously cleanse them, but outside of those 3 things, they're pretty much, there and not activatable. So it can do some cool things to prevent things like counterattacking. It can prevent certain passives from working properly. It's an interesting and unique debuff. What apparently it is currently doing, and I don't know if this is an error or not, you can use it on the Fire Knight, and the Fire Knight will not bring his shield back up when his turn ends. So you will constantly keep the shield down with Nullify, and while the Fire Knight will still take turns. He kind of skips his turn, sort of. It's a little weird. I saw a video on Ash done it. I'll actually see if I can play around with that a little bit later in this video, possibly as well. Maybe I won't. I don't know if I'll have time to do that or not. I don't want to make this video too long for you guys. It also apparently will prevent the counterattack from the Ice Golem. So Nullify has at least 2 interesting and useful ways that it can work that don't exactly describe what's going on with them well, but sort of does as well. Nullify is weird. It's not described very well. It might be a little bit of a buggy issue, but if it continues to work, it makes Nullify an interesting debuff for progression, because Ice Golem's counterattacks are the reason the Ice Golem is a problem for most people. And as well as the shield on the Fire Knight, if you can keep the shield down with Nullify, that suddenly makes April O'Neil a really good Fire Knight champion for a lot of teams, and that's not necessarily a bad place to be in for a champion that I thought was mostly going to be PvP based. And if there are other things you might be able to do with Nullify, I don't know. To be fair, there is one of the Hydra heads gets an extra turn. If that nullifies the extra turn mechanic, that can prevent that particular head from taking an extra turn. So that's possibly something useful as well. I know the one of the bosses in Doom Tower, not in this current rotation, but the Immortal Dragon takes an extra turn and can do some other cool stuff as well. It would stop that in theory. It might prevent him from summoning other champions. There are all kinds of weird things that this nullify could possibly do. And I'm kind of excited to actually explore that a little bit. So I'm probably going to be playing around with April O'Neil, and I'll, if I find anything really interesting, I will make a video on it, I promise. But that means that April O'Neil is not just a waste of a okay-ish for progression arena champion. She could be very useful in certain situations in PvP as well, and PvE, I should say. And so that's, I guess, a good place for her to be, and that means maybe you might want to go for her. Well, we've got the Titan event launching on Monday, probably as of the day that this video is going to launch, and let's talk about what we know about this Titan event, and then we'll speculate a little more on some of the Turtle events that might or might not be coming up as well. So here we go. This is a screenshot I stole from Boozer. Sorry, Boozer. Again, go check him out. Great content creator. This is apparently what they sent the official CCs. Monday, October 6th, they're going to launch the Ace Reporter Titan events, where you'll be able to get April O'Neil and other valuable goodies. Throughout the course of the Ace Reporter Titan event, you'll be able to earn up to 890 pizza points during the first part, which is the 6th, aka Monday, till the 12th, which is next week, Sunday. And then 710 points for the second part, lasting from the 13th to the 19th, so the next Monday to the next Sunday. And at 150 points during the third part, which is basically till Thursday or Friday. That ideally probably will take you up until the next fusion, which might be happening as early as October 24th or 25th, or might be happening the next week, happening for Halloween. Polarium does like a Halloween fusion, so I would not be surprised if they wait until Halloween, but we might get one a little bit early. You might have one during that last week, and that's why there might only be 150 pizza points available in that last week. Now, as usual, it is going to be 1,500 pizza points to get the top milestone, which is probably going to be April O'Neil. It is going to be probably 1,000 to get maybe the relic. Who knows? There's an Avasar frame, there's basalt, there's other resources that are going to be in there as well, but there are 250 points you're going to be able to miss total. Now, first of all, there's going to be probably 2 summoning events in here. One of them is going to be 2x Ancients, so that's kind of cool, but we still don't know what's going on with the Leonardo event yet, and I'll bring up a calendar. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But also, next week, since this week is a 2x Sacreds, is going to be a Summon Rush style event for some of those points. And you can bet there's probably going to be 150 to 200 points in that particular event. Now, there's a couple of different options for this. So let's go to the calendar and talk about what could be happening in the future. All right. So here is the calendar that we have going on here. This is a Monday through Sunday calendar. I'm not a big fan of these type of calendars, but this will be fine here. So this event is going to start here and run all the way through. This week is going to be week 1. This week here is going to be week 2. And then the final week here is where you're going to have 150 points available for this April event. So this weekend here is going to be, we'll just mark this as these 3 days here are going to be some kind of Summon Rush style event. And then with a slightly different red here, we will mark this one here. In fact, let's mark that with a blue, because that is going to be 2x Ancients, because we just had 2x Sacreds and we had 2x Voids not too long ago as well. So we're going to have those 2 little events right here. Now, that may not have been the best colors here, because we're talking about what may also happen with the Raphael stuff as well. Now, I believe originally what was supposed to happen is either Tuesday or Wednesday. It was when the Leonardo event was supposed to start in the middle of the week and happen during this event. That might still be true. It might not be true. The Leonardo event being a path would be a perfect event to fit in with this Titan event, because they can stick those points in the path. And in fact, they could even make the path difficult to do if you want April, in addition to getting Leonardo, where you have to go in different routes in order to get the April points. If you want to get April as well as Leonardo and his soul, would not surprise me. The other thing that could be an option, though, is they could have a Leonardo event during these 7, 8, and 9 thing. We'll mark this here. They could easily have a 3-day path event, Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly Thursday for Leonardo, and run them outside of another shard event, trying to drain us of shards. I know it's a thing that they kind of do. We're thinking about that could be the option, or hopefully more generously, it is going to be part of this event here and a major part of the points for the April event. So this summon rush here is effectively going to be a path event for Leonardo disguised as a summon rush. And that would not be the first time where they have replaced a summon rush with a path event of some kind to basically allow you to pull whatever shards you want to in order to complete the path. And then the next week afterwards was supposed to be the deck for Raphael. So again, I'll mark that in green. I think that was supposed to be Monday through Wednesday or Thursday. Now, here's the thing. Generally, paths, the card events for champions have almost nothing other than the champion fragments in them for the most part. There's champion fragments and a few other minor rewards in there, probably like some crafting materials for the relics, I would assume. So if they do that, I don't know where they would put the April points. So the April points may not be in that particular event, or maybe it's going to be April points and Raph fragments, and both of those are going to be combined. So it is entirely possible that you may have to either pull in for Leonardo anyway, or pull for Raphael anyway, whatever event they're going to do and how they're going to run that event, in order to possibly also get April O'Neil. If that's going to happen, that could be kind of rough. If that's not going to happen, well, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen right here as well. As I mentioned before, we were talking about a Halloween fusion. Well, Halloween fusion is definitely going to be happening sometime probably in this week. Whether or not it goes through and starts here, I don't know. I'll mark that like that. It could have started as early as, well, I guess it would start on the 24th, wouldn't it? So it'd start like that. Maybe even the 23rd. So maybe it would start towards the end of the April event, wraps into the beginning of the new event. Otherwise, they might let the April event fade before they run a new champion event. We'll see what Plarium decides to do. But regardless, there's a lot that could happen here. Now, what I think seems to be most likely is either these events that are happening for Leonardo and Raphael are going to mostly happen the way we expected them to happen on the dates, or maybe the dates are slightly different. And it's possible the Path event is going to have, parts for April's Titan event as well. Otherwise, I would not be surprised if we instead end up having this particular piece here. Let's go grab that. Maybe this gets slid over here, and suddenly the Leonardo event is the path that you're also going to be summoning. Then again, it's a, summon rush style event to also get some of those April points. So future Bront from Sunday breaking in here, and I was just made aware of this itself, so I wanted to add this into this video because we're talking about this exact thing. There is a Heroes Path event on Friday through Sunday in the events tab of the Plarium Play calendar. So that means we have a guaranteed path happening on Friday through Sunday, actually through Monday it looks like. So it looks like it covers over into the beginning of Monday as well. So that would line up with what I was stating right here, where they may take the Leonardo path and move it to Friday through Sunday. And that honestly makes more sense because they can then put pizza point events in there, and it looks like there's going to be pizza points event in that Heroes path. And that could be the Leonardo path. There is no guarantee that that is the Leonardo path, but it does appear to be a path of some kind. So if it is not the Leonardo path, it's going to be just a path for pizza points, and the Leonardo event's going to be somewhere else. And then this may not actually be here on the calendar. Generally, Plarium has, however, for up to a week in advance, put everything on the calendar and not really kind of interrupted it too much. They do occasionally, particularly when like fusions and patches happen, but since it's not a fusion, it's a Titan event, and they've already announced it, they have not been hiding it under that so far. So hopefully that gives you a clue that we are talking Friday through Sunday for Leonardo is a likely time frame for it. So save up those shards, get yourself a Leonardo. Back to the rest of the video. So what should you do if you're saving up for any or all of these turtle champions? Well, first of all, the April event, you're probably going to end up doing some of the events for the April event regardless. So you're probably going to get some of the Titan rewards, and that's not only fine, but that's probably good, because oftentimes these Titan Paths events have some okay-ish to very decent events rewards. You know, sometimes you get some crafting materials for relics, sometimes you get some chickens, you get brews, you can get books. There's certainly going to be another relic available as well. So there's some cool stuff that you can certainly earn during this Titan event, I'm sure. And on top of that fact, it does make some sense to me that we are going to have both the Raphael and the Leonardo event happen in these couple of events right here. And again, they could easily do something with this Raphael event and say, hey, why don't we move this down here? So instead, we get the Leonardo event happening right here, combined in with this Summon Rush style event. And then we end up with the Raphael event at the end over here during this, you know, the 20th through the 23rd or something like that, or right at the end of the April event, which would again go along the lines of the fact that these deck events oftentimes don't have points for events combined with a champion involved with it. So who knows? There are a lot of things that could happen with these events, but I just want you guys to be prepared for them as much as possible. I do suspect, however, that the Leonardo event is going to be what's going to happen first before Raphael. And here's the other thing too. I believe it is around November 3rd or 4th when some of this stuff ends as far as the turtle events are concerned. I believe you actually have to start the Michelangelo path on the 3rd or the 4th, so that when it wraps up on the 10th or the 11th, you have completed the 7 days to get Michelangelo. So do keep that in mind as well. But that means that there is probably a hard limit for what they might do. But doing it like this would then allow them to finally, and we'll just grab a color of, we'll grab that one. That sounds good. I would not be surprised if during this week right here, there is a final Prism event with all of the Turtle champions available as headline champions in that Prism event. And that would make some sense, because that would be one final way to spend your way to victory, I guess, or get these turtle events if you did not get them with some of the other guaranteed events. And that's fine. That is perfectly reasonable. And honestly, I would like the fact that they would do some of the guaranteed events and then have a final way to pay into them if you decide you want to pay in them for some RNG, or maybe even just earn that Prism event and see if you can get that extra champion somehow, because, you know, stuff happens. So be prepared. There's going to be a lot of events happening in October for the turtles. So just hold on to your resources. Don't get too tempted to go too hardcore for the April event if you're looking for Leonardo and if you're looking for Raphael. And there's a good chance you might be able to snag one or both of those. So what am I going to be doing on my main and my free-to-play? Well, on my main, it's pretty easy. I've been saving up souls for Raphael like nobody's business. I've got a ton of them. I believe I should be able to do a deck event that requires souls without too much of a problem. I may have to spend some energy running whatever other event happens to be run alongside of that, but for the most part, I should have plenty of souls to get any champion by any measure of a event that we have had so far in Raid. Now, as far as the path event for Leonardo, I'm pretty close. Might need to earn a few more sacred shards from the clan boss. Hopefully the clan boss will be nice to me in the next coming week or so. I'm going to make sure I farm it as much as possible. I will make sure I grab as many of the shards as I possibly can from anywhere and everywhere. I will not be spending anything other than mystery shards on that account until the Leonardo event happens, or whatever event happens that's a path event. And hopefully I should be able to get them on that account. I think I'm going to have enough. It might be a little bit close, but if it's really, really close, then I will discuss whether or not I can afford to spend any money in the game. And if I can't, then I miss Leonardo. And if I can, then maybe I don't. On the free-to-play, however, things are looking a little different. So on the free-to-play, I went really, really hard into champion training in order to make sure I could get Rosin Scarhide as well as get this Dranite Doorkeep. And to be fair, I probably went a little further than I needed to do it by Saturday so that I didn't have to worry about it on Sunday. So, well, I can kind of take tomorrow off or tonight off or whatever ends up happening to work. And that's going to be okay. That's going to be very helpful for me relaxing for the account and just kind of, saving up my energy for what we're going to be doing during the week. I am very low on gems now because I did spend a ton of gems to make sure I trained up a bunch of champions. And that's going to make the upcoming training that I'm going to need to do very frustrating. I've got Molly I want to build. I've got Emic I want to build. I've got Yakarl I'm going to want to build at some point in time. I've got Rosin I'm probably going to want to build in some way, shape, or form. Honestly, he'll probably get to 5-star 50 for a while, help me out in Faction Wars, and then maybe I'll 6-star him later on. I'm not sure. I've got Granite I would like to build because I think he's actually going to be very helpful for this account. I've also got an Akemtum I would like to build, and I've got a Doom Priest that I'd like to build, on top of the fact that I am going to have Vizix dropping on my account in basically 24 hours and 10 minutes at this point in time, honestly. So for me, I've got a bunch of champions that I need to dig in and train, but I've got a ton of shards here. I've got 15 sacreds, and I will get another sacred from my monthly very, very soon. In fact, I am so close to my monthly. We are at day 26 of 30 to get my monthly shards here as well. And I will be 27, 28 by Sunday. So by Tuesday, I will have this sacred. So at the very minimum, I will have 16 sacreds, 25 primals, 14 voids, and almost 80 ancient shards. And I'm sure I will have more ancients and more voids because as time passes, you just get those from Clan Boss, even if I'm not getting the sacreds from Clan Boss. So I am not worried about an event that involves shards for getting the champion. I certainly wouldn't mind a soul as well. I don't know if I have enough to get that soul. That is probably going to be a lot harder, but I should be able to get a champion, whichever champion that happens to be, for free. And I'm hoping that that's again going to be Leonardo because that's kind of what they hinted it was going to be at in the previous thing. For the most part, what they mentioned is they talked about the timings changing a little bit. And again, that makes some sense. Looking at the shard pull, it made not a lot of sense to me that the Leonardo event was supposed to be in the middle of a week when it could have instead been at the end of a week instead of a summon rush. And that's why I think that that's most likely going to be happening. So I will expect this weekend we will have the Leonardo event. As far as the souls are concerned though, I pulled some of these guys to make sure I could get myself a Prism shard pull just in case. And, I got a couple of interesting souls. I actually got a 5-star Mezimel soul. So if I ever get a mythic and it happens to be Mezimel, I will be very happy. But, I'm still going to be struggling to do any events that's going to require souls. And I knew that going into when I pulled a bunch of those souls. I only had 60 mortals, and I think I pulled like 3 immortals and 1 eternal. Would not have been enough for a deck event requiring souls under any circumstances whatsoever. So I know I'm not going to hit that event. So that leaves me with, okay, I'm going to miss out on either Raphael or Leonardo. And honestly, I hope it's Raphael because he's the least exciting one in my opinion. And then I have to figure out if I'm going to want to possibly go for April O'Neil. And that I'm probably going to play by ear. But I am probably going to focus and see if I can make sure I can get as many of the April points as possible leading up to the first summoning event and see if I can make that work. Because if that summoning event also is for Leo and I have to choose between getting another April or getting a soul for Leonardo, well, I'm going to have to make that choice. And if it's not a choice, I can get Leonardo and just get some points and not get the soul, well, then I might as well go for April O'Neil, especially if I'm definitely pulling for Leonardo, possibly in that weekend. But Plarium has pulled up all kinds of interesting tricks to make those more difficult. They have regularly done a deck with souls for the April O'Neil points, or the pizza points as they're going to call them. They did it for Donatello's soul, and regularly they also have a lot of energy that's required for some of the gear events, the Dungeon Divers / I guess Gear Hunters event that they have now. And while, yeah, I did the full Gear Hunter event. In fact, I believe we can't see it anymore, but I maxed out the Gear Hunter event on this account running campaign because I ran tons of gems through campaign to train up a bunch of champions to make sure I had the food to fuse Rosin as well as to fuse Granite Doorkeep. So I wouldn't mind relaxing a little bit. I wouldn't mind having a chance to kind of dig in and build all of these wonderful champions I have, but at the same time, I'm not going to turn down a free champion if I can guarantee myself a free good champion. And on this account, I think April O'Neil could be very interesting. She gives me another champion with a really good arena aura, and she has some abilities that I can use because I'm fighting players that are not running 2 tons of stone skin, for example, and April versus non-stone skin teams dominates. So that's kind of where I am with the free-to-play. I've got a bunch of stuff to work on. I need to kind of, saddle up, curl up, and focus on building the champions that I have that I know are going to impact the account. The 2 ones I am kind of mostly focused on, as you can see right here, is I have Molly and I have Emic that are fully built, and as you can see, we just had reset happen here. I've got him sort of booked. I've got her sort of booked. Honestly, if I can get 1 book into here, I will then finish booking up Emic, and then I will worry about what I'm going to do for Doorkeep. And Rosin may never get booked, and that's fine. And meanwhile, I've got to deal with, Yakarl will need some books as well. If I can grab a Leonardo, they're going to need some books as well. I need to train these champions up. I need to get masteries on them. I need to build them, and then I need to find out where I can use them on my roster. Because, that's the other fun part about having an account like this. So many champions can make a huge impact on the account. So I am really looking forward to some of these events. I think it's an exciting time to be playing Raid Shadow Legends. And you know what? Hopefully you guys are excited for some of these events as well. Or maybe you're just kind of tired because you're just really sick of waiting for these events and you really wish Plarium would give us a little more clarity. Well, they've given us some clarity and they have said that the events are definitely happening. Just the dates might have been changing and possibly what's going on with them, but I think they at least mentioned, for the most part, just the dates. So, hopefully Leonardo's coming next weekend. That would be amazing, and I'm sure there are plenty of you guys that would love to see that, and I'm pretty sure you guys would love to see the free-to-play getting Leonardo and, getting a chance to play with him as well. So, good luck getting Leonardo, good luck getting Raphael, good luck getting April if you're going for her, good luck getting Shredder if you're going for him. Hope you guys are having some fun playing Raid Shadow Legends. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. You guys are an amazing crew. You guys continue to inspire me to make fun videos like this, and I love giving back to the community, and you guys are absolutely awesome. So have a wonderful day. Until the next video, I am Bront CatHerder.